page. I don't want to hear you say that.
Put that umbrella around the one and take it off you.
Warum?
How do you move from a spoon-feeding culture to one where students learn independently? It was a problem identified by Ofsted at Carshalton Boys, a non-selective school in a selective authority. John Bailey's working with Stephen Black, who heads up the English department, where 47% of students gained 5 A to Cs at GCSE, an upward trend. Stephen now wants to use independent learning to make further progress. It's a Year 10 lower ability GCSE class, and Stephen's line managing Vanessa Anser in her second year of teaching. Her target is to encourage students to take more responsibility for their own learning. Vanessa previously worked in advertising, and she's using her creative skills to encourage the boys to write a piece of original coursework.
OK, boys, if you can just write down the title for today and the aim in your books. Well, I'm going to show you a series of pictures, 3 pictures to begin with, and I want you to tell me the story that's behind each of these pictures.
Got a nice voice, and she sounds like a singer, doesn't she?
Absolutely, yeah, she does, yeah. She's got a great voice, yeah.
He does look scared as he's falling down. What's the story, though?
I just fell off a Humpty Dumpty.
Essentially, he fell off a wall. Yeah.
Suicidal egg.
A suicidal egg.
He's got problems at home.
Possibly got problems at home, yeah.
He wants to go free range.
He wants to go free range, so he's tired of his life.
I thought the way she manipulated that stimulus material at the beginning was excellent. You're not trying to find out how good an acrobat the teacher is, you're trying to find out whether or not the children are learning to juggle.
Exactly.
And it stimulated lots of adventurous language.
It did. Adventurous language, lateral thinking, all sorts of stuff. There were some lovely ideas coming out.
OK. What about this one? This might be a bit more tricky. Bible story? No, not exactly. But it is an old story, probably about 3,000 years old.
Exactly.
What's his name? OK, that's exactly the story. It's the story of Icarus.
She's getting some lovely language out, particularly from the back of the room. They're sort of there. They're trying to make up their minds, but they're pretty much engaged. I mean, she's got the room.
Essentially, your coursework for original writing this half-term is to write any story which inspired the picture that I'm going to show you. I want you to look at this picture, react to it in any way. Gasp. Who gasped? Jack. All right, there's a reaction. Any other reactions?
Screaming.
Go on.
Hell, an alien.
Looks like an alien. Hell. Any other?
Like he's seen something, like he can't believe.
Vanessa is valuing their ideas, gently pointing them in the right direction. I thought she handled some of the other ideas she heard which weren't so good. I thought she handled those very sensitively. Nobody was crushed. Everybody was encouraged to get involved.
Now, the idea of today is to think of a loose plot around that picture and get ready to share them in pairs. Get some A3 paper. I'll just stick them on this table. If you just kind of just take one and have a glance through some of the ideas.
She made them get their own paper, the planning sheet, the A3 planning sheet. Now, most of us, and I would put my hand up to this, would give it out. But actually, I think it's right. I think you have to... My own understanding of the way that you get independent learning working is it has to be structural. It has to be seeping out of every wall.
This picture's going to be up on the board. I want you just to look at it, write down, brainstorm as many ideas as you can on these A3 sheets of paper. As you get your ideas out, you'll find, hopefully, that a plot starts to come up in your mind.
No, he's committing suicide because he's coming through a bad time with his life, saying that his mum died or something. Say that he's trying to commit suicide because he can't handle the pain. Yeah, say that.
Maybe turned into a ghost?
This moving person saw a ghost / turning into a ghost.
Her cat runs away.
I mean, mean, listening in, eavesdropping, a good deal of what was being said was very focused on what it should be.
You never know. It might be some sort of creature. How's it going over here, boys?
Her circulation was excellent. She,
Absolutely, got to everybody.
Yeah, she got round to everybody.
Yeah.
He saw a ghost, but then he could look into a mirror saying that he's turned into a ghost.
Oh.
It's 15 minutes into the lesson. Many students have been working well, but the strategies Vanessa's been using are not engaging everyone.
Once they got onto task, I became concerned, and I wondered that some students might be falling off.
Try and get, I want that ticket for Arsenal. She gets knifed to the neck and hit by a baseball bat.
It seemed to me that 12 out of the 18 students in the room were involved in independent learning, which means that a third of them weren't.
Joe, you got your hand up?
A suicidal man wants to be taken by a wave because it might be wavy and like big waves, and he refuses to be taken because those two people are lifeguards.
Okay. What, if anything, would need to be added to that idea?
See, that bit was great, but it comes and it goes, doesn't it?
It does, yes, yes. Taking part in class discussions is not a sort of icing on the cake. It's actually, to me, as an English teacher, it's absolutely fundamental. You know, you're forced to think on your feet.
But what led to that? Yes.
The people in the background don't really look like lifeguards, they look like they're in suits.
I was thinking to myself, you know, what's the road to independent learning? Well, modelling's obviously important. What does what they're going to write look like? If I wanted to get you buzzing, or get us buzzing, on what the scaffolding towards independent learning is like, what would happen at this jump-off point in the lesson?
Giving them short pieces of writing. It's basically writing to argue and persuade. That's what it is. Every day you get a model, very often in only 50, 60 words. Something of that nature.
I was with her Saturday. I see her Sunday with Jim. Then there could be loads more and there could be something here.
Would you go straight from this to a story, or would you do a storyboard or something in between?
Probably go straight to the story.
Let's each name our top tools for getting towards independent learning.
Planning, essential. Too many of our lads don't plan. They see it as a kind of impugning of their masculinity if they have a second go at something.
I would probably add explicit organisation skills, like what do we do in groups, how do we ask questions, how do we support each other, so they've got an idea of the design of a lesson. And I'm interested in what does she need to do next.
The way I normally run performance management is much less formalised than I'm feeling that I should be doing today. It's part of a conversation, an ongoing conversation that starts first thing in the morning and ends when we say goodbye at the end of the day.
Nonetheless, her target is to increase independence amongst the learners in her classroom.
Yes, it is.
If you do a good job on this feedback,
yes,
when you walk away from it thinking you've done a good job, what will you have done?
I will have empowered her to continue doing the excellent work she's doing, and I hope given her one or two guidelines as to how to make it even better.
For feedback, John wants to see how far Stephen will press Vanessa to try new techniques to engage all of the boys, and whether he'll come up with any concrete ideas for her to use.
Some of the responses were excellent, weren't they?
I thought so, actually.
They were really, really good.
Yeah, they were much better than I thought they were going to be, those responses.
Right, yeah.
And I'm very, very pleased with the way they're approaching this particular piece of coursework.
But 12 of them, in my opinion, were clearly engaged. They were either head-down writing, reading each other's work, or just discussing, eavesdropping on what they were discussing, which is good. Yeah. There were 6 that weren't. I think the question of how we get the other 6 working is interesting. Any thoughts on that? I mean, were you aware of that?
Yeah. I mean, I noticed, especially when I was going around to some tables, that the noise level on some of the other tables would increase, and it wouldn't necessarily be about the work. And at that time, when I noticed that, short of thinking I'm going to go to that table next, I don't really know how else I would get them engaged.
What they need is they need structure. They lack structure.
At the beginning of this year, when we started, the concept of writing an essay was quite alien to quite a few of them, and they weren't sure quite how to structure it, what needs to go into an essay. And a lot of these skills of just getting ideas down is something that was very impossible at the start. And over the course of this
not
year...
impossible, because you've managed to achieve it, yes.
Yeah.
But John's still waiting to see whether Stephen is willing to offer Vanessa some practical advice.
I wonder if one way of doing it would be ensuring that everybody drafts a piece of written work. And you could see, you know, yes, he started with this idea, he's changed it, he's enriched the vocabulary, which is the kind of thing you were telling them to do today. I wonder, there was just an idea. Yeah. How does that seem?
I suppose it's more directly linked with the idea of independent learning.
Yes.
I probably need to move into a different position.
Some ideas have emerged to help the boys learn independently.
Right.
But John still wants to challenge Vanessa and Stephen to give more explicit guidance than they may be willing to.
I'm wondering how far away they are from being able to respond fully. How could we let the students know what that vision is, or is it something that you work privately towards without sharing with them?
I think they know how I feel about these things and what I expect them to be. But, you know, beyond that, I don't have a set of targets on the wall.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what it would look like.
A
poster or something on the whiteboard, to be one of Mrs. Starr's. I'm good at working in groups, I'm good at assessing my work.
That's something that I don't really do. I do it through speaking to them. So I feel that is a little bit babyish as well for a Year 10 group, I think.
I understand Vanessa's reluctance and reticence about spelling things out to them. I believe long-term the best way is to embody them, to model them, which is what you're doing. See, I think you're doing all the right things.
I, for the life of me, can't see the reason why we can't say to a bunch of 15 or 16-year-olds, you want to be successful, you write extended essays, you do inquiry on your own, you work well in groups, you this, you that. Why do you feel that might be babyish?
OK, because I actually think that by making it explicit, you're not actually teaching it to them. I mean, this cliché that I keep mouthing about values are caught, not taught, is actually something I believe in, because I think I've seen it in myself and I've seen it in other students. The way to really work would be if everybody in the school was able to model the values that we want from the boys in their own way. And that would work. And you wouldn't need to have explicit messages all over the school, because it would all be seeping out the walls, it would be falling out of every cupboard, it would be everywhere.